Hello once again. This is gonna be a smaller video, or I hope so, and we will play a little with a global illumination, and we will see how we can have real-time reflections in Unity 5. Now, open up a new project or a scene. You will find a download link below in the description for these textures, which is simply a normal map and an emission map. You will see where we will use it. Now on the new scene, delete the main camera and rotate the directional light something like that. For now, let's put it out of the way. So let's create first our sky. And of course I'm a professional, and you see here how much organized I am, which I'm kidding in case you didn't notice. So the sun size, let's put it around somewhere here. Atmosphere thickness, you can see here the changes. Let's find something that we like, something like no, let's go lower. Let's leave it there. Now let's pick a color, something more something like that. Okay, if you want, use the same values. Let's give it something like this. The values you can use here. Now ground, we don't care about ground. Let's leave it to black. And exposure, let's make it let's leave it there. Drop it inside our scene, and as you see, the scene dramatically changes. It's all ambience. Let's go to our directional light. Now let's reduce a little, or by half, the bounce intensity. And that's it for our directional light. And let's go to our lighting. We have the sky, we have the ambient source to be the skybox, ambient intensity is at 1, reflection intensity is at 1, bounce at 1. Now we don't want to use baked global illumination, so we just untick it, and we want to use pre-computed real-time global illumination. And the resolution we want to have a little greater, but since I'm recording right now and this is not my usual workstation, so it's not that powerful computer, I just leave it at something like 5. You can play around with it and use it on your own computer, on your own workstation. The higher the resolution, the better reflections and bounce densities we are going to have. So with that out of the way, let's create something to work on. Create a cube. Let's make something like this. Let's create a material. Let's call it floor for now. Assign it to the cube. Let's go to the inspector. Let's open it up. Now I'll just drop the normal map and click fix now to fix it, and drop the emission also. Let's give it a value of 3. Let's give it a more something like blue, or something like that, so like purple. Let's change the tiling. Let's make it a 5 and 10. It looks great. Let's make it a little smaller, something like that. Now, of course, for this to take for the global illumination to take control of this object, we have to make it static. And as you see here, it starts calculating the global illumination. And it's getting slower because I'm also recording, so I'm going to reduce the resolution. So let's make another cube so that we can have a wall. If you see here, yeah, I had the lighting in the scene disabled, but anyway, let's change a little the orientation because it washed out all our floor over here. And actually I'm going to duplicate this just so that we have a little more room to play, something like that. Let's give this a new material, assign it. Now let's reduce the smoothness and let's give it something like yellow. Let's make it a green. And to the corner, let's duplicate also this. And duplicate the material also. And let's give it something like a red color. Let's leave it how it was. So now if we drop a controller inside, let's make sure everything is okay. Continuous baking. Okay. Let's go to our main camera and make it an HDR. And if we hit play, you can see a little in the corner. Might not be even you might not be even able to watch it actually. But I think, yeah, we haven't made those static. So don't forget to make those static, and we will be able to see the light actually bouncing into the wall. It takes a lot of time because I'm also recording, so don't forget that. It might be a little faster, and as you see here, the light bounces, and this is actually getting darker. Now, normally in previous gen, and the floor is also getting a little green from the wall. It's the light that bounces and falls upon the other objects. So let's make another wall here just to play around. Yeah, and of course we get some warning because the HDR, to play correctly, we need to go to edit, project settings player, and the rendering path, change it to deferred, and let's change also the color space to linear. and we get another error. Let's clear that. Let's see. As you see, if I close it, if I make it a little more back, it actually changes the color, because the lighting is bouncing. It actually changes the color of the wall. It actually takes a lot of time because I'm also recording. So let's just leave it over here, and duplicate material once again, and let's give it this a yellowish color. Assign it. Let's make it more over there. Let's wait a little bit for this to finish, because it actually has a lot of jobs and don't want the PC to crash. So now that it's baked, you can see that we have actually the correct, the lighting is bouncing off the walls. Let's hit play once again to see it in action. And this, of course, is actually pretty great. But of course, we can rotate the wall, and you see that it actually changes the way the light bounces. And we can actually change the properties of the sky. So with this you can easily make a day-night cycle. So I'm just going to put the inspector out of the out of this monitor. So I hit play and we have it full screen. And I'm just gonna pause, or maybe not. Let me see. Yeah, and now I'm actually manipulating the properties of the sky, but on the second monitor. So you can see, you can change it, and the scene changes a lot in real time, which is actually pretty great. So now with that, let's put our inspector back. Now let's make some real-time reflections. One thing we can do, or maybe which we go to light and add a reflection probe. Since our camera is over here, we can actually make it a child of our controller. Let's put it somewhere around here, because it's supposed to be reflecting the ground, and the type we want to be on real time, and the refresh mode we can choose if we want to make it the reflection on awake on every frame, or we want to control it on scripting, with scripting. Let me just make the lighting a little better. Let me reduce the intensity also, just so that we can see. And I will make the floor material to be metal, and the smoothness also to be way up high, and play a little more with the lighting. Let's make it a little more whitish color. So back to our reflection probe. Now we can choose it to either make it all faces at once or to individual faces. Now all faces at once, it calculates all the faces at the same frame, which means a lot of performance, but you get more actual, more realistic reflections. With individual faces, it's actually the 6 times slower. So let's leave it all faces at one. Let's hit play and see what we have done. And as you can see, we have real-time reflections. Let's make our reflection probe a lot bigger, just so that we don't get that ugly popping we have. Now keep in mind, of course, that this is also taxing for performance. And as you can see, we actually get some pretty nice reflections, which the normal map we have here is not really that helpful. So I'll just delete the second wall. Let's make this something like 70, something like that. And let's put some more objects in here so that it's a little more apparent what we are doing. Let's duplicate 2 times one of our materials. We'll just leave it at red, but let's make an emissive material, give it a red color. And as you can see, the emissive material, if you noticed, it actually affects the other objects also. This is all the real-time global illumination. Let's make the second emissive material something more greenish. Let's make it also emissive. Pick the same color and assign it, which for some reason it became white. Let's see why. Let's make it a little less emissive. You can say it's the global illumination if you want to be effective, or if you want it to be baked. And we are actually closing to 2 minutes, so I lied, as my good as Alan will say. And as you can see, we actually have reflections on the floor. Let me get rid of the normal map or make it a little less intense. Which is actually pretty cool. Now one last thing we can do, let's make another cube. Let's make another material. I'm just duplicating one I already have. Let's make the color to white, metallic to 1, and smoothness all to 1. Now this is actually a reflecting perfect, it's a perfect reflecting material. Let's turn it to this. So for this though, to have realistic reflections, we have to assign a reflection probe also. Let's make this also a real-time reflection. Let's make it every frame. Now of course this, because you will see, because we have two reflection probes and one is actually reflecting the other, you get these effects, these artifacts. So let's get rid of the of our first reflection probe. You see immediately it stopped reflecting. Let's make this a little smaller so that it doesn't affect this object also, or let's just make it a little further to the back, and let's just add an object. Let's just add the sphere under our collider, under our controller. Disable the collider, we don't want to use it because we already have one collider. Let's just say that this is our head. Let's hit play, and as you can see, you can actually have real-time reflections. And if you up the resolution, you can actually have a lot more resolution over here. So let's just try. Let's get dangerous. Let's give it a 10. We'll leave it to start calculating. Now if of course this takes a long time, I'm just gonna stop the video because I've already show you what I want to see. We will play with them a little later in our videos, but since this is a hot topic and everybody is playing with it, I just said I'll make a quick video just for you. And as you can see, it takes a lot of time to load, and this actually is going to be pretty high resolution, but you will get more accurate reflections. Let's just hope it doesn't crash. Just keep in mind, yeah, and I'm actually seeing in the recorder I'll get encoding errors, so that's not good. So I just stop it because it was going to cause some trouble. So that was it. We will play with them, yeah, then have continuous baking. I'll make this to 4 once again, and quickly, you see with a low resolution it's calculated much more faster. So of course this it's not going to be useful for every game, and it takes a lot on performance. Now of course if you want to make a mirror, you can make it like this, but if you actually want to make a mirror, it's best to use render texture, since we have pro features now, because a reflection probably is actually like having 6 or more, I think it's 6 cameras in the scene and having them render from all directions. So it will be it will cost more performance for exactly the same and you will do the same the same thing you can do with just one camera. So, but I'll just do it over here so we can see and have some fun with it, and we can see more how it works. So that's it for today's video. Subscribe and like if you liked it, So I'll see you Wednesday. Bye bye.